When historian Dan Snow describes the most audacious raids of World War II, one operation stands out as almost unbelievable in its scale, bravery, and sheer desperation: the St. Nazaire Raid, officially known as Operation Chariot, a mission so risky that many of the men who took part were quietly told they were unlikely to return. And yet they went anyway, sailing straight into one of the most heavily defended ports in Nazi-occupied Europe in March 1942 with a single objective that could change the course of the war at sea. St. Nazaire, on the French Atlantic coast, housed the Normandy dock, the only dry dock capable of repairing Germany's massive battleship Tirpitz should it break into the Atlantic. And as Dan Snow explains, as long as that dock existed, the Royal Navy faced the nightmare scenario of the Tirpitz sinking Allied convoys and then retreating safely to be repaired, threatening Britain's lifeline of food and supplies. Unable to destroy the dock by air due to its reinforced structure and heavy defenses, British planners devised a plan that bordered on suicidal: to ram an explosive-laden destroyer directly into the dock gates and destroy them from the inside, while commandos landed under fire to sabotage surrounding infrastructure. In the early hours of March 28, 1942, HMS Campbelltown, disguised as a German vessel and packed with delayed-action explosives, steamed up the Loire estuary under intense enemy fire, its crew maintaining the deception until the final moments when searchlights snapped on, alarms blared, and German guns opened up at point-blank range, turning the river into a corridor of explosions and tracer fire. Despite devastating losses, the Campbelltown smashed into the dock gates exactly as planned, and commandos disembarked into chaos, fighting street by street against overwhelming German forces, planting charges, destroying machinery, and engaging in brutal close-quarters combat, knowing escape was unlikely. As Dan Snow emphasizes, the raid quickly became a fight for survival, with many small boats destroyed before they could evacuate, leaving men trapped in the town, wounded or surrounded. Yet they continued to resist, buying time for the explosives hidden deep within the ship to detonate. Hours later, long after the Germans believed the danger had passed, the delayed charges exploded with catastrophic force, obliterating the dock gates, killing German personnel inspecting the ship, and rendering the Normandy dock unusable for the rest of the war, a single explosion that achieved what years of bombing could not. The cost was staggering. Of the more than 600 men who took part, over half were killed or captured. But the strategic payoff was immense, because Tirpitz would never again have a safe Atlantic repair port, forcing it to remain largely confined to Norwegian waters and relieving immense pressure on Allied shipping. Dan Snow often points out that the St. Nazaire raid was not just a tactical success, but a psychological one, demonstrating to occupied Europe that Nazi defenses could be breached, and to Britain that bold, unconventional warfare could strike decisive blows even in the darkest days of the war. In the aftermath, 5 Victoria Crosses were awarded, reflecting the extraordinary courage shown under impossible circumstances, while captured commandos were treated with a mix of respect and fury by the Germans, who struggled to comprehend how such a small force had inflicted such damage. Today, the raid is remembered not for its casualties alone, but for what it represents: a moment when planning, courage, and sacrifice converged in a single night to alter the strategic balance of the war. And as Dan Snow explains, it remains one of the greatest examples of how individual bravery and audacious thinking can shape history, proving that even against overwhelming odds, a mission deemed impossible can succeed, leaving behind a legacy that still echoes through naval and commando history as one of World War II's most extraordinary and costly victories.